the end to get some free stuff. All right, cool. Now, workflow and efficiency. I decided to hold a talk on that because on the whole day there are events with live composing, some Q&A stuff, also with video game developers and everything, but I didn't want to live compose something or get into some technical details or orchestration or something, so I chose to talk about workflow and efficiency, which for me is really one of the main parts for being a composer. Now, a small disclaimer here in the beginning. I view composing and everything from a very work-like blue-collar kind of view. So if you're more kind of an artistic composer or likes to just compose to let off some steam or something like this can still be for you, but I mainly focus on how I work with deadlines, essentially a little bit of the in the trenches view on things. So first, who is this guy here anyway? That's me with a slightly blurry photo, isn't it nice? I am from Switzerland, as my accent maybe gives away. I'm a composer and musician. I worked on a couple short films and video games. The biggest one that made a successful Kickstarter was Throne of Lies. I composed and played music for live for over 10 years. Mostly back then I made power metal. I was live on stage, the highest point in 2010 together with Stratovarius. And I studied psychology and computational linguistics at University of Zurich. I didn't study music because at that time I thought the main stable job that you have would be music teacher, and that isn't something that I look forward to. I still have a day job as a scientific researcher in the field of computational linguistics. So I code a lot, I hold a lot of talks, I organize meetings and work groups, work a lot with natural language in the computer field. Now that's where most of my workflow and efficiency stuff comes from the IT field, short deadlines, quick iterating, agile minutes, etc., etc. Okay, so what I will be talking about, and a quick question. No, Patrick, I didn't record the video before. There you go. What I will be talking about is essentially 4 main points. Deadlines are your friend, preparation is key, your DAW, your home, and working efficiently. So deadlines are your friend is mainly how I view deadlines. The deadlines help me personally to get into the composing, to get stuff done. Preparation is key. That is mainly how much should you prepare if you get a job, or if you get a game dev and you can make music for them, if you get a short film, a director, or for work for library. What kind of preparation do I do and why do I think it is key? Very short, your DAW, your home. That is very self-speaking essentially. You should know your audio workstation. You should know it inside out to provide the most value. And last but not least, working efficiently, a few pointers how I work myself. So first of all, deadlines are your friend. What do I mean by that? As said, I work very well with deadlines. I need that certain pressure, and as the saying goes, diamonds are formed under pressure, but so is crap too. So I like having deadlines. Other people can't really work with them, but you hear stuff like, hey, did you already work on that cue that I need? Hey, can you do some revisions on this one you sent me last time? Hey, we have to change the schedule. Can you send it in tomorrow? Or damn it, we have much less time than you think we would have. For example, in one short films that I worked on, essentially, okay, you have 1 week for this 10 minutes of music for the short film, no pressure, anything is good. And on the second day, I got a little Skype call from the director and said, hey, we got a deadline imposed on us. We have to be done by the day after tomorrow. So from another 5 days or so of composing, it went down to 2. So you need to be very efficient and have your stuff in place. Okay, it's a lot of stress, but you have to be sure that you can handle it. So how can deadlines help you, or in that sense, how do they help me? Well, for one thing, you have to deliver on time, because it's a deadline. By definition, you have to deliver on time. All the wheels in the machinery are waiting for you. The audio editor is waiting for your input. The game developers, for example, wait for your sound effects to check with the quality assurance testers and everything like that. And in my opinion, you show professionalism, that you can deliver on time, that you can adjust your schedule, that you can work in a professional manner. The second point is you have a time frame. When you have a time frame of, let's say, 2 weeks, you can plan how you will use your time. What do you do on what day? How much time do you even have? How much time do you need? And also you have an ending in sight. So, okay, you don't really enjoy under that pressure, but hey, the day after tomorrow is the deadline. The day after tomorrow, it's over. And you can work towards that relief, especially if you're really crunch time where you work day and night. You have an ending in sight and you can really look forward to it and get whatever you want, some nice food, some nice drink, or spend yourself some, I need a new MIDI keyboard or whatever, to reward yourself. You have an ending in sight. You need to take action. That's a point that I heard with some people, and myself especially as well. It forces me to put notes on a page, to put stuff in, and getting my lazy ass off the couch. And yeah, it's easy to procrastinate. There's a series going on, or I could play a little bit online with my friends, or just hang around in Discord and chat all day. But when a deadline comes up, I have to take action. I am forced to go with stuff. I find myself often throwing away things. I find myself often throwing away things that I think they are not good enough, or that doesn't sound that musical, or that you can't hum that melody, or whatever. Under deadlines, I'm forced to go with that idea and revise and revise. And that's something that I really like. And the last point, no excuses. It's not, I'm not inspired, or I don't want to, or I slept bad last night, I don't feel in the mood to compose music. No, deadline, you have to get your lazy ass off the couch again. Go, go, go. That's very, very useful in my case. Now, excuse me if I sometimes stop talking because I'm chatting on the side, stuff like that, and have an eye on the Discord chat if any questions pop up. All right. There we go. Now, preparation is key. With all that, well, deadlines help me, but if you're under pressure, you need to have an action plan, right? You have something prepared. You have something to go off of, in my case. So what can you prepare even for something musical? You could prepare a template in your DAW, you could prepare spreadsheets, you could prepare your time plan, your allotted time that you have. You could prepare an efficient state of mind and also a good workplace. Now, I don't go into detail on every one of those, but that's really my thing. A template can be prepared. I happen to have some prepared templates and sometimes on-the-fly templates, spreadsheets with all my necessary information that I need, timetables, an efficient state of mind. This kind of state of mind is now I'm going to create. I really can recommend the book by Twyla Tharp, The Creative Habit, where she talks about, she does dances, ballet dances, choreography. She's a choreographer, and she also fears as she calls the white room, as we would say the white page or the empty door. Just go in and do it and have the state of mind. I am not stopping until I have something. I'm scratching for an idea and I go with that idea. And the good workplace, of course, have your setup ready. If you want to create, if you want to just get going, it's a little bit of a hassle if you have, oh, where's my MIDI keyboard? It's over there. I have to plug it in. Oh, wait, I need the audio interface that's somewhere around, or all this stuff. The good workplace is, in my case, it's more or less tidy. It's more chaotic than you think, though. It's tidy. I have my stuff set up. I know in arm's reach where my stuff is. I have my fader controller to my left. I have my Stream Deck to my left. I have this here, and my coffee that is meanwhile cold on the other side. I have everything that I need prepared, and I feel home in my workplace. I have the wall that I'm looking at is colored in a bluish, blue-grayish way to get me into some slightly efficient mood. It makes me feel home. It makes me feel like a good workplace, like an inspiring workplace. That is very important in my case, because I myself, I don't like hanging around in the cubicle office, for example, at the day job. I work a lot of my time from home, simply because I don't like the distraction of other people. I don't like the strange heights that the desk has there. I don't like the way the monitors, the displays are positioned and all that stuff. And here I have the good workplace. This is my little kingdom. It's set up the way I want it to. The first point, templates. It's this kind of thing you can talk hours about, where 3 people can chime in and you have 5 different opinions in the end of it. I just lay out the way I see it, and it's by far not the only way, but it's the way that I see it and the way that I like to talk about it. So essentially, I see different types of templates. You have on the y-axis the time to set up, to load in, etc. And on the x-axis the resources that you need. On the left side, above the empty DAW. Really just the DAW as it is, essentially. Nothing's loaded, just an empty canvas. It takes a lot of time to set up. You have to load in your instruments. You have to set up FX change, maybe even stems to render out, get all the settings done, do your EQing on the strings and whatever. It takes a lot of time to set up, but it's very lean because you have essentially a couple megabytes or maybe 100 megabytes from the DAW itself, and the rest is empty at this moment. In the middle, the big blob is the modular skeleton, either module or skeleton. I tend to use that interchangeably, which is a kind of a hybrid. In my case, I have a skeleton that I set up completely. All FXs are preloaded, all stems and all the routing is done, and all the folder structure and everything. The only thing that I have to do is load in the instruments in the right slots, and everything else from there on is handled. So I work with libraries that require, for example, stems and submixes or minus mixes. That is, in my case, at a touch of a button that I scripted for Reaper, so to speak, or use scripts that already exist, of course. But I need a synth, I need a piano, and I need my standard strings. I make a couple clicks, I fill my skeleton with the parts I need, and I'm essentially done. The resources are variable. It depends how much you already put in your skeleton. I happen to do the reverbs and some EQ things already in the skeleton. And the whole routing has a lot of tracks. My main big template, the fully filled template, is 370 tracks. The skeleton should be way less. It's about 50 tracks or something. Yeah, it just prepares me. I know exactly what goes where. One further, the custom for the gig. That's, for example, you hear Chris Hansen from Spitfire Audio on his private vlog talk about this approach a lot, where you, in the beginning of a project, you create your sound canvas, your canvas which you work with, and load in the sounds, and then you have your template for every track that you need for the gig. Often, in game soundtracks it can be very diverse, but in films or TV you mostly have one sound canvas you work with. Think, for example, Broadchurch, which Olafur Arnalds scored, which has his signature sound. So you, in his case, so to speak, these are very his sound canvas. he needs his felt piano, he needs his kind of synths, his beds. And he can just load his custom for the gig template, and he has all the sounds ready that he needs for those situations. And most resources needed, least time to set up, in the sense of from opening the DAW to composing. Load-in time can be quite high depending how you do it. The all-in-one, as I call it, which my big template is with 370 tracks. You have just everything in there that you might possibly need or that you most often need. The upside is you have everything on the fingertips. The downside is it takes, if you don't run slaves or something, or go with a disabled workflow and all that I can quickly get into, it takes a damn long time to load. Some people that have only one templates take up to 15 minutes to load just a template up. And that means for composed tracks, if I need to change something in another track, 15 minutes of waiting time. That's a lot of coffee you can drink in between. I am not a fan of waiting long. That's why I personally use Vienna Ensemble Pro, so that my waiting time is very fast. But that's totally not necessary. I just happen to go with that workflow. So the points to keep in mind if you want to set up your template or decide for one of those workflows, you have this on a kind of spectrum. It was visualized before and here in a little different form on a table. The CPU and the RAM on the load. In the empty DAW, it's very low. Modular can be extremely low with just some effects load in, or sketching, just a piano and an ensemble strings patch, for example. The custom for the gig made them too high because, yeah, there can be anything you need for the gig, and the all-in-one is just large. A lot of CPU, a lot of RAM. The time to boot it up, essentially reflecting that how big it is. The convenience was the main factor why I got Vienna Ensemble Pro, short VEP, web, because I didn't want to wait. And I hated that freezing workflow and disabling and unloading and reloading when you need it and all that, which is totally fine. Some people work really efficiently with that, but I tend not to. So low convenience with an empty DAW, yeah, you have load everything in. You have to click and drag the stuff in and. The modular is medium, depends highly on your DAW if your DAW can do some stuff. Like track templates in Reaper, or Sonar has the same. In Cubase has something similar. Essentially build your template and save parts of it. For example, I have my brass stack saved as my brass stack with all the EQ and all the things that I do with it, saved as track template. So when I go in modular, I can load my personal brass in and it's all set up. Custom for the gig, yeah, the rest is pretty self-explanatory. Delivery speed is something that, in my case, plays a role because I want to spend the least time possible for delivering. An empty DAW, I have to set up the stems, I have to check everything, yada yada. With an all-in-one template, everything is set up for me. The stems are there in the categories I need and everything. Quick question in the chat. Any tips on configuring your setup between live playing, composition versus playback? For example, buffer size. Not directly. I tend to. For me, it's essentially the same. The buffer sizes, in my case, are set up that I have low latency to play in, and with the playback, there is not much difference. I use an RME Babyface Pro as my interface, mainly because the drivers are phenomenal and it's a very low latency. It costs a little buck, but that's something I pay attention to. I want as much, if I go into the DAW, I want to be able to play it live, play it in live and play it in live once. Ideally with all the CC movement, etc. done in that one go, so that I have minimal cleanup time afterwards. So I can't really give tips on configuring the setup. It's essentially finding your own balance between the latency that you have and the playback, if there are kind of stops, chirps, or breaking in the stuff, etc. If you know what I mean. I hope that answers the question. It isn't that helpful, but I hope that answers it anyway. I'm just waiting for the feedback quickly. Hopefully it works. Yes. Okay, I was afraid that would be the answer. So yeah, I said it's my opinion, it's not a golden rule. So spreadsheets. Let's get geeky in this stuff. Spreadsheets. Why? In my case, when I worked on last short film, and for libraries in some cases, I work spreadsheets. I have databases. I have some spreadsheets, even on physical paper. And with spotting, you fill that spreadsheet as well. I have everything on there. The length of the tracks, the in and out time codes. When does the track when should the music come in? When should it go out? My own detailed notes on it is a little melodic sketch, for example, with a small staff that I just draw with my sloppy handwriting and just put down some points, some orchestrational notes like, hey, the cue should be more this emotional piano kind of thing with soft strings, stuff like that. Input from the client, temp tracks that he wants, or hey, I would like to display X, or the character. There's a pivotal moment for the character where he gets really in connection with his inner self and realizes what he has done and stuff like that. You can all put that in. The mood and the dramatic arc, where in the dramatic arc is it? Or do I need a special kind of thing in that one track? Or where is this cue that I'm writing situated in the whole arc? The mood and the style, the emotion, what happens. And priorities and estimates that I like to do for working. I mean, is this cue a high priority? Can it work without that cue? Is it a nice to have? How long do I take to compose that cue? I get into that a little bit later. For example, I know it's very hard to read. I'm very sorry because the font is so small. I'll just read it. I have on the very left, I have an ID, and it just identifies the cue for everyone in the chain. From the, for example, the game developer or the director or the audio editor, whatever. That's the ID where we communicate with each other. I happen to find that old system nice, 1M1. 1 is the real, M music, number 1. For example, earlier the films were delivered in reels of, I think, 20 minutes, if I'm not mistaken. So the composer would have different reels in it, so he can pinpoint, okay, it's reel number 5, track number 7, or stuff like that. I just happened M1, M1, and it's all 1M because it's digital file. The name of the track, an internal name for me, maybe to reference it to, or maybe also for the editor. Hey, the meeting cue there, how was it? I like working with IDs, and the name is just a quick, okay, it's the meeting thing. Yeah, true. I have a priority list. Here it's a must. I explained the Moscow system that I use in a short while. This cue must be, I can't really, this is one of the key cues that have to be done first, that have to be good. The estimated work, I work in a kind of agile system where I just assign some work to it from 0.5 to up to 100 if it's very uncertain. But here, for this example, I know, okay, I know very exactly what this cue is going to be. I know very exactly how long I take to do this. It's a very not work-intensive cue. And the big field are the notes. So here I've written down slow camera movements. The camera floats behind the main actor. Nervous, mysterious, something's about to happen. Temp track was LA Confidential. Question is the track called. Until almost a minute in that temp track. And the big letters, minimal melodic movement from the director. Hey, I don't want anything get in the way, make it very non-melodic, really keep it consistent. And my own notes again, low strings, maybe low woods, mid-high string textures, foreshadowing of death, just slightly. So with these notes, my creative self now knows, okay, I need some low strings. It should be a little nervous, mysterious. I could use some chattering, these chattering noises in the low strings, and really ominous, some low woods to give a bit of edge maybe. String textures that interchange a bit, kind of stuff. Foreshadowing of death, I know more or less harmonically where I want to go with it. This semitone movements maybe. I would just slightly not overdo it. And if you read that, these notes, the cue is already halfway written that way. I know pretty much what I'm going to do. Then in and out the two time codes and the length calculated from that time code. I know this is a 2 minute and 2 second long cue. BPM, in this example, maybe 60 around, depending. So after watching the clip, I determined 60 would be a good pace for the music to play in. And the last is scene, where I have a small description of the scene. The main characters meet for the first time at Wall Street, for example. I can go much deeper in the information segment here. Any information that I have helps me to efficiently compose the cue because I know exactly what I need and where I'm going for with this cue. I also happen to like that in library cues, I'm in a couple exclusive libraries, boutique libraries that send me an email with a brief that essentially is something like the note section there. Hey, we need an emotional piano cue. Here are 3 reference tracks. Make it in that style, ideally. Give your own spin in there. It must not be longer than 2 minutes and 50 seconds. It must have a climax or whatever. Really, almost instructions. And I like to write such instructions for myself. So with that, my creative brain already worked on the cue. I already know where I'm going. I already know what I'm going to use. I already know how long the track is going to be. And with the BPM, I already know how many measures I will have. I can already subdivide it in my mind or on paper. Okay, I need 8 bars, some kind of intro. Okay, he's walking up, 8 bars this, then 16 bars, keep it steady because they are talking and stuff like that, you know. I can really work efficiently with that. Now, I have so much information and some people might find it, why do you do this? Well, where's your creativity? I happen to get creative out of that. Limitation breeds creativity. And the more information I have, the more I'm limited to my choices. In this example, I already know it won't be a big epic cue with taikos thundering your nuts away. I know it will be delicate, it will be a little creepy. That limits also my palette that I use. So many details. If it's very, very detailed, in my mind, it is ready to work on. I have the basis for my creative options. I can play around with the creepy sounds and I can invest time in that. I know it has to be creepy, so I can steer directly into the creepy sound choices. If it has medium detail, I need more information. I need another meeting with the director maybe. And hey, I can't quite get what you want to emphasize in that score. My intuition is going for this and that. What do you think? And if it's very rough, just know, hey, there should be a cue in that length. Okay, I know this cue should exist, but I can't really compose it. I don't know what to do. Of course, there's a lot of things going on, a lot of talking back and forth, a lot of asking. And the more information I have, it helps me to compose, it fills in my blanks, and it gets me started on the right foot. Fortunately, with most tracks that I did on commission for some games or other stuff, I was pretty much always 90% in the ballpark. I had minimal revisions. Also for the libraries, I had minimal revisions. It almost never happened that I had to rewrite the cue from scratch. It was always very, very close to what the director meant. It was very, very close to where I needed to end up. Do I write really sophisticated music? No, I am far away from John Williams or Jerry Goldsmith or something. But I look at it as a job. I need to deliver the values. I can deliver the values that way, in a way that the client really likes it. Conversely, of course, my problem is having a client that says, hey, do whatever you want. You're completely free. Surprise me. Then I personally get into a kind of a shock and oh crap, I don't know what to do, and I'm completely frozen. That's also not ideal, but that happened how I like to work, and that's how I work with clients and how I talk with clients on getting the gig. That's how I work. What do you expect from me, from my side? What do you expect from my service of composing music? I need this detail level. I need to support the vision that the director has or that the game dev has. I don't want to put my own vision on this product. If that is needed, I might be the wrong guy for it. But it's all in collaboration. I have my visions and my ideas, and he has his visions and his ideas, and then we meet each other for a great product. All right. Prioritizing was a little thing on that spreadsheet. I like to have to use the Moscow principle. It works best for me. I don't like with numbers and high and low or whatever. I like this because it attaches a nice word to it that I immediately know what it is. I have the Moscow MSCW, the must, tasks, the should, could, and would. I subdivide everything into tasks. So, okay, write a cue, write a love tune. I have all the infos I needed. Now, what are my tasks? Okay, compose the cue itself. Then mix it. Then maybe master it. Then deliver the stems. And maybe some revisions. Maybe compose the first half, compose the second half because it changes. And I try to divide it as good as I can to have as much info as I can. And the M, the must tasks are mission critical. These are the things they just need to be there. There is no way around this. This has to be there. The should is high priority but not necessary for the current sprint, as I like to do them. Could, it's a kind of nice to have, but it's not critical. Can be done when must and should tasks are done. That means, oh, that could be a little ambience behind when he walks, but it's totally not needed. And this is nice to have. Okay, if I feel there's really not enough music. So, yeah. I just heard that the stream is extremely laggy. Is that true for everybody? Or just a quick question. Is it lagging for you? In the meantime, I continue. It won't be done now, but you would like to do it if there's time or all things are done. This prioritizing works better for for stuff like sound effects rather than composing music. But for all the other stuff, it works as well. For example, if you know mixing is a must or I should mix, but my main, from my template, it's 80% there already. I should mix, but I don't have to. It's not mission critical that it is correctly mixed because it goes to a sound editor anyway. So, that's that. I like also to estimate how long do you need to compose 1 minute of music? How long do you need to search loops or sounds and settings? How much time does it take you to mix and possibly master? All this and more questions can help you estimate the amount of time something needs. And always track that time when you're composing as well. How long did you take for this complex piece? How long did you take for that simple piece? To find weak spots in your own workflow. Do you find yourself taking too much time to mix? Maybe set a fixed time limit. Okay, I'll mix this cue for exactly 30 minutes and not 1 minute more. And then you're forced to go right to the priority. Okay, the snare must sound good in this track. The bass must sound good. But other stuff I can do when I have time. And maybe change your workflow or outsource it. That is the other thing that you have available. Change your workflow by analyzing it and change it up. Or outsource it. Hey, I know a mixing guy. I call him, I send my stems over. He's going to mix it. The time's getting slow. I'm talking like a maniac. Section 3, your door, your home. Do you have questions until now? Talked about organizing everything, get as much info as you can. So I have my composition already halfway written only by knowing what I have to do. All right. I've said in another chat I once said, I think it depends how long you think it will take to finish the track. Yes, and the more you do it, the more you finish the tracks, And the better you track your time, the better you can estimate. And you know exactly, okay, I need 2 hours for this kind of stuff. I need 4 hours for this kind of stuff. And that also reflects in your rate. If you ask clients for a rate, if they ask for a rate, you can say, okay, that's about 12 minutes of medium complex music. I know I take about 2 minutes for such a track in that length, and you know exactly, okay, I need 5 hours, and you bill in 5 hours. So you know what I mean. Okay. Your DAW, your home. Know your DAW. Know your tools. Know the keystrokes and the shortcuts, the workflows and the terminology of that DAW, the limitations that it has, the behaviors and quirks, the built-in helpers that you have, the stock plugins, the themes that maybe help you work better, and the compatibility with other people. This is very self-explanatory, but a lot of people still skip this. Know your stuff. It doesn't matter what DAW you use. I personally used a ton of DAWs and I'm stuck with Reaper. But it doesn't matter what DAW you use. Know your stuff. The faster you are, the better you know all these things, the more efficient you are. If you know limitations, oh, I have problems generally when doing X and Y and Z, you can work around it. The behaviors and quirks, oh, I need to route the master channel back into this to have this out, or I use SonarWorks, I use some monitoring effects, I need to disable them because it's not disabled by default or stuff like that. Stock plugins and built-in helpers. Man, stock plugins. Don't get me started. Okay, I bought the Waves Diamond bundle when it was cheap, I know, but stock plugins can provide so much value. And today, I would say you can get 90% where most people are with stock plugins alone. They're really good. Some are better than others, but they're all very good. So check out your stock plugins before you buy any wannabe snake oil from somebody. There are some really dope plugins. The Fab Filter plugins are superb. Some of the Wave plugins, I couldn't live without them. But generally, stock plugins should be your first go-to. Compatibility is more how you export to work with another composer or work with a sound editor. That's more the details. For example, you have a task, okay, you have some ostinato line, doody 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 doody, and say, okay, I want to repeat it. I'm too lazy to play that in for 2 minutes or something. And just go on, okay, repeat an ostinato. That's your mission. How do you do that? Well, how much time you need to do that? You can take a very long time, right-click or go to the edit menu, copy that item or that part of MIDI, go to the bar you need to insert it, go into the edit menu and paste again. It takes half the time to select the item, Control-Copy, Control-V, Control-C and Control-V. Takes half the time. And depending on your DAW, look at the shortcuts. For example, in Reaper, it's I think Shift-D or Control-D. I'm not quite sure right now. I have it in my hands, but not in my mind. Shift-D. I just press one, I select it and press Shift-D and I'm done. And I already repeated that ostinato thing. That's why shortcuts are really essential. Many roads lead to Rome. Control-D thinks. Many roads lead to Rome, yet it's a little Germanism kind of thing. I don't know if that's the right saying in English, so many ways to skin a cat. Many ways to skin a cat, as in that little example, you have 3 options and even more if you count context menus that you can achieve the same goal. But one of those workflows will get you there much faster. So really learn it. There are many ways to skin the cat. Find yours. Ask if you have your workflow, observe it and ask questions. I can make this more efficient? Is there something I didn't know? Use helpers for your workflow. If you can, that's totally a luxury thing. You don't have to. Fader boxes that you can buy instead of your mod wheel and then drawing in stuff. That's what I do. I play stuff in live and use as many faders as I can. tablets and phones with software like TouchOSC or Lemur to set up your whole control thing, to select tracks and record and do whatever. Or some external keyboard like in this picture, the Stream Deck that hosts your shortcuts. That's why I don't remember some of the shortcuts, because it's all on my Stream Deck. I just push a button and sometimes 4 or 5 shortcuts in succession get triggered, which really streamlines my workflow. So for example, if I do sampling, if I use samples from an instrument, I have one button that automatically cuts all the samples 500 milliseconds before the transient. Let's retune the Reaper Melodyne wannabe over it to determine the pitch and stuff like that. So look if there are helpers, if you can benefit from helpers. For example, for me, tablets and phones didn't work at all. I have tablets, I used them, I set up all the things and I was proud and I had fun, but it didn't work out for me really. It really didn't. So on to the last part, the last couple minutes, working efficiently. There is in the Twitch chat, wouldn't you say if you add a tablet, you're way too reliant on multiple tools and can adapt hardly to different studio settings? Yes, absolutely. I should quickly go back, maybe, if I can. Yes, if you use a lot of external equipment, you get very, very accustomed to your setup, and it makes also harder if you work in different studios or settings. That's more critical if you're a mixing engineer or something. If you're a composer working from the home studio, you more likely work 90% in your home studio. So I make it as comfortable as I can here. A lot of people are also obsessed with their gear that they are lost in studios with less material. That might be an issue for some. Yes, the people get so accustomed with their stuff that they almost can't use the DAW because they don't have the streamer. They don't have the fully fledged tablet and everything. Yes, that's totally true. But then I think to myself, well, how often do I really work in different studios? How often do I work with other DAWs of other people? And I find myself doing that almost never. If I mix and master, that's totally something different. But also then I mostly do it in my home studio and I never really go out. So for me it works. And I fortunately, or unfortunately, depending, until now didn't have the opportunity to work in a different composer studio to see if that will be a problem for me. I hope that answers the question. Okay, working efficiently. The last part, just a little bit general. Use your time. Use the time you have. If you're more likely not a full-time composer, your day would most likely look like this. You get out of bed, have breakfast maybe, and commute. It has to happen, right? You have the whole day work or at school. And I would say keep your head where it belongs. Don't think during the school or work all the time, oh, I should compose, oh, I have this idea. Keep focused and make a good work where you are. You can always jot down ideas, but don't let your schoolwork influence. No, don't let your composing influence your school performance. There we go. Then when you get home, maybe have dinner, maybe have some chores to do, maybe some time with your loved ones. First food, and then damn it, you have to do dishes. And then finally you have some music time in the evening. And then you panic. And before I continue, a little question. What's your stance on using multiple DAWs together in one workflow? Yes, I know people that do that. I don't do it personally. I'm not against it. I totally support it because you then can use the strengths of the different DAWs. It can get confusing, I think, but there are a lot of people that I know that use, for example, Ableton Live for its morphing capabilities, for lack of a better word, to really do sound design within Ableton Live and rewire that into Cubase or into whatever else they mainly use. So I'm totally behind that. And I personally also think you should be polyglottal, if I want to call it like that, with DAWs. Just to know some different workflows, think and critically question your own workflow, maybe find a better DAW. One of the guys said, I use it, I produce in Ableton Live because my opinion it's better for modern music production and works very easy with audio and MIDI digital tools plus sound design. However, mixing and mastering and Pro Tools, like Bay. Yes, Pro Tools is the industry standard for a reason in a way. I don't like it, but I can use it. I'm not on a pro level at all, but I use it. So yes, totally go the multiple DAW route if you find you compose very well in Fruity Loops with this workflow. By all means, do it. But if you find the limitation on another DAW that does something way better, way more intuitive, don't be afraid to use the secondary DAW or even tertiary DAW to do this. Don't be afraid of that. All right. So here, finally, music time, and you totally panic. You have so many ideas, you're so inspired or you're so uninspired, but you want to and you don't know what to do. That's where my thing comes in. One of my idols, so to speak, Mr. Ron Jones, who composed for DuckTales, Star Trek Next Generation, Starfleet Academy Game, Family Guy, and much more. He said in one seminar, how do you eat an elephant? Well, one bite at a time. Divide into tasks, make your plan, and what you do. Know what you do, have a plan, and go at it. That's my way of doing it. Establish a productive rhythm for yourself. I like the Pomodoro technique from the coding area. I set a timer for a fixed time and compose. That's the only thing. I eliminate all distractions. No phone, no chat, no forum, no anything. Nobody should disturb me in that time. Complete distraction shield. I just work on music. That's the only thing. Scratching for an idea. Get something done. For 25 minutes. And then you make a break. And don't think about music. Oof, clean your mind. Go for a small walk. Get a coffee. Have a smoke. Although it's very unhealthy. Don't do it. And then again, the same rhythm until almost 2 hours are done, and then you take a long break of 15 minutes. You can adjust the intervals so they fit you best. For example, my wife tends to not work well in 25-minute intervals. She needs longer time to get into the flow, to get into writing or anything. So you set it to 40 minutes and make a 10-minute break and stuff like that. There are tons of online timers for this. You can use whatever you want. That's essentially the thing. And that's how I work. Compartmentalize and maximize my productive time. Having a fresh mind. After 2 hours, my mind is still fresh and I can still work and I'm not exhausted. That's also good for mixing, although 5 minutes is questionable. The ear fatigue is real. So, yeah. Try it out if you haven't. It's a cool technique. I benefit a lot of it. I know people that are totally not benefiting from it, so maybe it helps you. Look for your creative flow. Get your high priority tasks done and get all your info together. Scratch for an idea, as Twyla Tharp calls it. Sketch it out and refine it. Remember, it's always easier to revise than to create. Scratch for an idea and really get down in it. Scratch. Oh, that's a nice idea. I can work with that. And then sketch it out, rudimentary, on paper, in the DAW, wherever. Sketch it out and refine it. These steps can be on different days, doesn't matter. But really, who the hell? A honking girl outside of the window. Really get into a creative flow, and if you keep the flow the same and make it a habit, it gets a habit. Also, as I said, use your damn shortcuts. Use your custom actions if you can do them. Don't be afraid to just roll with an idea. I mean, I spotted myself too many times playing something, oh, okay, that's a shitty idea, delete. Play in for 2 minutes something, oh, cool, has a cool flow, listening to it, that shit, delete. No, just roll with it and use your craft, use your knowledge to get it out to a real song. It's easier to revise than to create. You always take more time to create, and to revise you already have material to work with. That's why I like my whole info section, because I already have something created. I have the track in paper form, so to speak. Track your progress towards milestones, towards end of tracks, towards the chorus or whatever. Track your progress so that can give you a hint if you need to change your schedule, if you're too slow, if you're too fast. And has a reference that you know, okay, if I'm doing a metal track, I need 2 hours for a full track including lyrics. Or you need, this is a track that I've never done before, or this is a style that I'm not that well versed in. I need 1 day to do something. But that's something then you know and you can track your progress. Oh, I'm getting faster. I'm getting better results faster, stuff like that. It motivates you as well. And a very important point, enjoy yourself. If it's a hobby for you or a job, doesn't matter, enjoy yourself. Watch some TV, play some games, be social. It shouldn't eat your soul up at all. You should have working hours if you work at it. The occasional crunch time, yeah, of course. But have some work here, work time, have some studio time, essentially office time, and enjoy yourself. Don't let the life and everything just float away in front of you. It's not worth it, I would say. And as last, stuck. Are you stuck? Get out. Not get out of the stream, but if you're stuck, get out of that stuckness, get out of the rut. Remember, that's my approach, how I view it and how I work. Know your theory. That's my case. For me, theory helps me getting out of a rut because I have tools to use and a small co-pilot that knows the safe way. I'm somewhere, I know how to voice lead out of that. I know how to voice it into that. I know which register this is in. I know which instrument that line can take. I know how a cadence works. I know what chord fits well with the other chord. Know your theory. It doesn't matter how deep of a level. I can do a 13th chord there, I can do an 11th chord there. It's exactly the same as valid as if you just know the C major scale, so to speak. Hey, after D comes an E, I can just go one up. But I have options, I have tools. That's the main reason why I say know your theory. You have options, you have tools, you have sometimes automatisms in your hands. Also, know your references. Don't know how to continue? Well, ask the greats, ask the big guys. How did John Williams did that? How did Hans Zimmer do that? And everybody else. Listen and make notes how they continued. They also get stuck, but they also know their way out of that. And if you reference and listen to a piece really critically, okay, that's kind of what I'm doing. Oh, he goes a minor third up and does the same again, or minor third up and changes the melody. Yes, let's do that. And it gives you inspiration. Take a break and continue later. Nothing wrong with that. Free your mind. This can work absolute wonders. Have a walk in nature. Go out and tell the birdies that I said hi and stuff like that. And also, maybe a little bit more unconventional, think non-linearly. We are digital here. Are you stuck in the A section? Try to work on the C section. Stuck on the intro? Just write it later, write it in the end, doesn't matter. We are working non-linear, we're not working on tape. Linearly, we have to do this, then this, then this. We can go freely from A to B to Z to X to G. We can freely move around in our piece of music. And we can freely do what we want. Try to think non-linearly. Okay, the time is getting short. And I'm sorry for that whole bloody info dump here that I did. But I hope it helped you. And for those who stay till the end, it's